Jason has a meeting with the psychologist, and Kyle decides to take matters in his own hands. Let's talk about the Oval. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel, and click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow all the information I have in the description box, as well as the comment section. Also like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. Now before I get started with this review, let me send a special shout out to Metro Health DC. If you are in the DMV area and would like to get quality health care, reach out to Metro Health DC today. The number is in the description box in the comment section, and there's a form that you can fill out if you're interested in getting services with Metro Health DC. So fill out that form and someone from the outreach team will be in touch with you. Also, let me send a shout out to GMHC, which is Gay Men's Health Collaborative. If you are in the DMV area and would like to get tested for HIV, reach out to the GMHC crew for a home testing kit. You can have the kit mailed to you, or you can call and make a same-day appointment and come to the location to pick one up. And if you're interested in PrEP, which is HIV prevention, reach out to the GMHC crew for that as well. Also, if you're a fan of KRSTV, become a Patreon today. Black Diamonds, because in darkness we still shine. For $5 a month, you get all of my YouTube content as well as videos specifically for the Black Diamonds. And some of those videos will appear on YouTube, so it will give everyone an idea of what the Black Diamonds is all about. Also, check out my YouTube partner, BK WorldTube, which is the Black Netflix. You get shows like this one, The Oval, and RuPaul's Drag Race. So after you watch this review, click that link in my description box and comment section to check out BK WorldTube. Now, this is The Oval Season 2, Episode 7, and the name of this episode is Hidden Secrets. This was a damn good episode, and boy, that Jason needs his ass whooped. Boy, the shit that he did, I'm like, yo, this boy is beyond help. This boy needs to literally be put in an institution for real. Or better yet, he needs to go to jail because he's a serial killer. But yeah, shit was crazy. So, the episode picked up where it left off. Alan has walked in on Donald and Kyle literally, making kissy faces with each other. I mean, literally caught them literally making out. And all of a sudden, that damn Kyle's like, don't you knock? Motherfucker, he's his personal assistant. This is a place of business. Y'all shouldn't be making out any damn way, you trifling bitch. Are you serious? I'm like, that damn Kyle is something else, man. And Alan says that the president wants to see Donald. And then Alan goes to his desk, and Kyle is just literally making Alan all uncomfortable and shit. And he starts doing that same bullying shit that he did to Gene. Trying to intimidate him. And he's like, can I get you anything? No. He's like, I have water, I have coffee, I have soda. He's like, I said no. And he's just mean grilling him. And he's like, so what do you want? He's like, I'm just going to sit here and look at you. And study you. And he's like, and then like, Alan's like, it's hot in here. He's like, what do you mean? It's hot in here. Do you mean sexually hot? He's like, no, it's because it gets hot in here. I need some air. He's like, well, I'm fine. You know, so then he starts in, what did you see? And Alan said, I didn't see anything. He's like, good. Keep that up. And he's like, who do you talk to? Ellie, the new press secretary. But he doesn't know their connection, but Donald does. And he starts asking where he was from, and he told him that he was from New York and that he was from Long Island. And he's like, you know, I have friends that I talk to, but I don't talk to my friends about anything that goes on here. And then all of a sudden, here go Kyle with that threatening shit, and it was like, now if I hear that that you talked about anything that you didn't see, you won't have eyes. I will remove them, and I'll keep them in a jar for safekeeping. And I'm like, oh my God, Kyle, you are just so damn sad. Like, just pure. Kyle's just fucking ridiculous. Like, and you doing all this for a man that don't even love you. So sad. And then like Alan just reassures him that, look, I know my place here. And then Kyle was like, good, because that will keep you alive. So then we see that Priscilla is in the break room. She calls Greg, who's Jean's boyfriend, asking about Jean. And Greg is like, something isn't right. I don't know what it is, but something ain't right. And Priscilla was like, yeah. You know, and she's like, that's why I reached out to you, because I know how much you love her. So she knows that Jason was lying. She knows that. Because she knows her friend. And she knows her relationship with Greg. And then Priscilla was like, well, I was planning to go to her house and check on her. And then Greg was like, no, I'll go check on her. And she's like, okay, fine. Then after she gets off the phone, Sam walks in. And he confirms to Priscilla, you're right. She is after me. And then he says that, look, you know that I will never hurt you or us. And she's like, oh, you wouldn't hurt us after she sucked your dick? And he was like, that didn't happen. She's like, oh yeah, midway. That's right. I'm like, it ain't shit you can say to Priscilla at this point. Priscilla has made up her mind what the situation is, and she ain't changing it for shit. And then he pretty much says that, you know, we're both dealing with a lot, you know, with your mother's death and our second mortgage. We both need our jobs, and we will get through this. And of course, you know, that damn Priscilla was like, oh, so what you trying to say? All this is my fault? What led you to do what you did was my fault? Partially, yes, because you knew your man was getting frustrated sexually, and you weren't satisfying that, honey. So, as I said, what you won't do, another one will. And then he pretty much lets her know that Victoria asked him to be her lead guy. And child, that face that Priscilla made when he told her that just shook the damn room. She gave that look like, oh, really, motherfucker? But then he says that, you know, I'm thinking about taking it because that's more money and we need it. And then, like, you know, it got to the point where Priscilla was like, wow, are you that angry with me that you would do this shit? She's like, I know that you really want kids. I see you with your brother Will, and, you know, all of a sudden, I realize I see that light in your eye every time you're around those kids. That's what you really want. And you're mad at me because we don't have them. You know, that you don't have kids, you're not getting enough sex, you know. It's bad enough I got to deal with Richard flirting with Frida. Then dealing with that crazy ass Jason, because I think he had something to do with why Jean has disappeared, you know. And then I gotta, on top of it, deal with this bullshit. And he's like, but baby, I'm doing this for us. And she's like, there will be no us. I'm so disappointed in you. And walks out. And I'm like, boy, this situation is crazy as hell. Then we get back to we get a scene with Bobby and Max. Bobby, you know, is on one. He's like, if she don't call back in 30 minutes, I'm going down there. Like, because he loves Lily. And he knows that Lily is in the line of fire. One, being Cal's crazy ass. So then he calls Diane. And Diane was like, oh, so she's back home now, talking about Lily. So she's like, cool, because immediately it goes to show that, yeah, what he had with Diane was just a sexual thing. He's in love with Lily. Because she was like, she's like, so you're worried? And he's like, yeah, like, she's like, don't worry, I got it. He's like, not about you, Diane, I'm worried about Lily. Like, let it be known, bitch, Lily got my heart, boo-boo. So, but Diane lets him know that she's going in too, and that Donald wants to meet with her. Bitch, it's a trap, just so you should know. And then he lets her know, you know you're being followed, right? She's like, yeah. She's like, I think if I get in good with them, everything's gonna be fine. And she says, we're gonna take that son of a bitch down. She's still on her mission that she's gonna take down Hunter and the administration. And then Max let it be known, she shouldn't be too eager. And neither should you, Bobby. I was like, yeah. So pretty much he lets him know that I'm gonna go check on Lily. Max tells him, I'm going with you. I'm in this. So we see that they go on. Then we see that Greg goes to Jean's apartment. We see that the apartment's all disheveled, and I'm like, this is Kyle. And I had a good feeling Jean is somewhere in that apartment, probably under the bed or something. You know, so pretty much the whole stage was, the whole scene was staged. And we know Cal's old crooked evil ass had something to do with it. So he calls Priscilla and says that, you know, this place is tore up. And she says, have you touched anything? And he was like, no. And then she says that you need to call the police. And he was like, well, I've been locked up before, so I don't know if I want to do that. You see, because of how police treat black people, when it comes down to situations when you need the police, people won't call them. So this is how the police has deeply affected the black community, because even in a state of emergency, we won't even reach out to your asses. So Priscilla tells him to get out of there, and he does. Then we get a scene with Sharon, and I think his name is Owen, the new guy that's working at the pharmacy. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But her and Owen are talking, and you remember he let her know that he knows about the Rackadushis because they have a headquarters in the town of Virginia that he lived in. And he lets her know that the store I used to work at, the women would come in there and they would try to recruit young girls and stuff. And Sharon was like, do you know the actual location? And he says, well, I can kind of draw a map you know, I don't know the exact location, but I know what's in the area. So I can kind of draw kind of like where they're located. And then all of a sudden, that damn Barry show up. And we already know Barry is on the shit. So he pretty much knocks on the door from the outside. She goes outside to talk to him, and he's on his bullshit. You know, is this something you want to tell me? And she's like, dude, like, you need to leave. Like, why are you here, bruh? Like, do you realize that you could go to jail, and that you know, you just, and then the fact that you actually drove your car through this place? He's like, yeah, not doing shit again. So, is there something you want to tell me? I'm like, somebody need to put Barry the fuck away, because it's to the point I want to whoop Barry's ass. I mean, because I am sympathetic that he lost his daughter, but bruh, you are doing entirely too much, and you keep putting yourself in the line of fire. You keep doing shit, you ain't gonna be able to post bail the next time. Because you're building a rap sheet. And if you keep going off, you know, emotionally and just doing reckless shit, your ass gonna be in prison for a long time. It won't be a damn thing anybody can do to help your ass. So she's trying to tell his ass to go and all that. And he's like, were you ever gonna tell me you were pregnant? And then the nerve of this son of a bitch had that, the nerve of his ass, he gonna ask her, is it mine? She slapped the shit out of him. And rightfully so. I mean, because all we know, she did have sex with Kareem, but it was that one time that we saw. Dude, that was later on, so there's no way in hell he could have got her pregnant that quick. So, clearly, Barry, you're the father, you asshole. And then all of a sudden, we see that they go back and forth. Nancy shows up, and she's saying that, Barry, I wanted you to go to the funeral home with me. He's like, well, I'm not going there, Mom. And she's like, well, then go home. And then he keeps on going and shit. And then we see inside, Kareem runs into Owen, and he's looking for Sharon. And she's like, Sharon went out front to talk to some guy. And all of a sudden, that damn Kareem get all defensive and shit. Oh, really? Some guy? Where are they? He said they went out that way. And so enough, Kareem comes out there and starts adding fuel to the shit. So you got Barry, Sharon, Nancy, and Kareem literally having a confrontation right in front of the damn store. And of course, when he saw Kareem, Barry is ready to charge at his ass. And, you know, Nancy's like, Barry, you need to go home. You really need to go home. And then, of course, Kareem's like, you better listen to your mama, Barry. He's like, dude, I will whoop your mother. He's like, and she's like, Barry, get your ass out of here and go home. Leave. And finally, Barry gets in his car and rolls out. I'm like, yeah, Barry need help. Barry needs help. I mean, I'm sympathetic to Barry because I know why Barry's acting like this. But Barry, this shit can't continue, bruh. Because you keep on doing this shit. The fact that you're a black man and you out here being reckless and not giving a fuck, you gonna land yourself in prison and there ain't gonna be no way out for you this time around. But it's like no one is like really, I mean, Nancy's beginning to get it, which is why she told his ass to leave, because she knows why he's tripping. And then we see that after Barry leaves, you know, Kareem goes inside. You know, he's still trying to touch up on Sharon. Sharon's like, I'm fine. Get off me. I'm good. So then Nancy and Sharon have a discussion, and Sharon breaks down. She's like, I can't keep dealing with this. I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. She's like, I know, but you know he loves you. She's like, yeah, but he doesn't show it. Like, you're going to come down here and do this at my job? I can't keep dealing with this shit. Like, he ain't going to be happy until I leave his ass. And she's like, look, I'm going to pray for you. She's like, pray for him. I'm like, Sharon, your ass need prayer too, because here it is, you calling between Barry and Kareem, and neither one of them are giving some good shit at this point. I mean, yeah, Barry is tripping because he lost his daughter, but Kareem is a selfish asshole. And he really shows it. You like literally right after this whole situation, because here it is, you know, Kareem trying to be in the middle of the shit, you know, trying to comfort Sharon. It's like, why do you keep dealing with this? You know, and he's like, so it's true, you are pregnant, and I wish it were mine. And she's like, why would you say that? Like, seriously? And he's like, why do you keep putting up with this? And she's like, I don't know. I love that man. And when things are good, they're good. And he was like, well, when was the last time things were good? And she was like, right before he lost Callie. And she's like, and do you think that's the reason why he's acting like this? Really, Kareem? Kareem is selfish as fuck, bruh. Like, all Kareem cares about is getting what he wants. Like, dude, yeah, that's the reason why he's acting like that. Was he acting like that before he lost his daughter? Anybody who will lose a child will not be the same person. So right now, Barry is not the same person. But the problem is she is not understanding the depths of anger and frustration Barry is feeling. That losing his daughter and the fact that he doesn't know where she is or whether she's even dead or alive. He has no leads to go on. That's enough to drive somebody crazy. But I think Sharon does love Barry, but she lacks understanding. And then all of a sudden, that damn Kareem with his selfish, narcissistic ass starts talking about, do you love me? I think you do love me. You know, and then it gets to the point where Sharon is just over it. She was like, dude, we hired old boy so that we wouldn't be doing this. And here you are on this bullshit. And she's like, well, why don't you come live with me, Sharon? You don't have to keep doing this. Won't you come live with me? And she's like, really? Live with you carrying his child? And he says, I will love that child as long as I'm able to love you. So here it is. She's dealing stress with Barry, but then also dealing stress with Kareem's old simple ass. And then the two of them get explosive and they go back and forth because, you know, Kareem's a simple bitch. And she pretty much says that, look, won't you take your ass in the back and I'll stay up here and we do what the fuck we got to do. Let's just work. I ain't got time for this shit right now. So then all of a sudden he kind of looks to Owen. He's like, well, I guess you heard. So I guess you're a part of this now. Just a straight up asshole. Like Kareem is a pain in the ass. And personally, as I said before, there are other pharmacies you can work at, Sharon. I suggest you just leave. You need to quit your job and find another job to go to. Because ain't no amount of money ain't worth all that damn stress and anger. And you pregnant too? And then you got to deal with stress at your job. And then also stress with Barry. Boo-boo, you need to choose yourself and choose your child. And leave both of their asses alone. Catch it. So then we get a scene where Hunter, Donald, and Dr. Meadows. Dr. Meadows is a psychologist that was hired to talk to Jason. Donald found her, and she introduced her to Hunter. Hunter immediately starts flirting with her because you know that fool is a straight-up nympho. And she's pretty much saying that she's a professional. That, you know, Donald lets it be known that Dr. Meadows is a professional. She's good at what she does. And then, of course, that damn Hunter's like, yeah, you had a professional before that didn't work out too well. Talking about Diane's ass. Like, no, that didn't work out because you couldn't keep your dick in your pants. Let's just keep it real, Hunter. You're the reason why Diane did what she did. But as Hunter's narcissistic too, and he doesn't like to own his own shit. You know, and she mentions that she's worked with other high profile kids before, and that, you know, she's the best. And then he says, well, what other profile families have you worked for? And she's like, I can't tell you that. But if there's a problem, I'm in demand. And he's like, oh, yes, you're definitely in demand. I was like, Hunter, you horny bastard. Oh, my God. That was hilarious. So that went down. So then we see that Donald is on the way to take Dr. Meadows, you know, to meet Jason. But then they run into Victoria. And Victoria's like, oh, yeah, I know about Dr. Meadows. I know her work. And she's like, I can introduce you to my son. And then Dr. Meadows like, well, I can introduce myself. And she's like, oh, wow. No one has told you anything, have they? She's like, I would like to assess for myself. And she's like, well, it's the second door on the right. And then while she walks away to go meet with Jason, Donald and Victoria have a conversation. And he says, and she's like, she looks at Donald, so she's like, so this is what you send to help him? And he's like, she's the best. And she was like, that little motherfucker is going to drive her crazy. So then we see that Dr. Meadows meets up with Jason, and he's like, so you here to shrink me? And she's like, I'm here to talk to you. But more than that, I'm here to listen. And she's like, who's paying you? And she's like, I'm not going to discuss that. And she's like, yeah, they probably, use some coded taxpayer scheme, in order to pay you the money. And then he says that my family will do anything as long as it's not good. And she's like, won't you tell me more about that? And he's like, I got a lot of questions. So he starts questioning, and pretty much, they start going back and forth, and, she can definitely tell that, he's messed up in the head and everything, because he's saying that, people may think I'm messed up in the head, and, he starts asking her personal question, like, is she married? And she's like, yes, and she tells him her age, and then just out of nowhere, this fool pulls out his dick and starts jerking off, and she's like, I can leave, and he's like, no, I don't want you to leave, I want you to help me, please help me, I'm sick, and then literally throws his semen onto her. I was like, oh, Jason, you piece of shit. I was like, oh my God. He literally jerked off and threw his semen onto her. So she pretty much gets up and everything. So then, while that's going on, before she comes out the room, Donald and Victoria are still talking. And then Donald asks Victoria, I have a question for you. And she's like, okay. And he was like, do you enjoy this? All this chaos and drama? Do you enjoy this? And of course she's in denial because she's completely full of herself. And she's like, she's been in there for a long time, and obviously I think you picked her because of how she looks. Like, you did this on purpose. And of course Donald kind of chuckles and is like, yeah, he's like, hey, she's good at what she does. And then that daggone Victoria's like, so tell me, how many appealing women have you introduced to my husband? And he's like, it's about your son. And she's the best at what she does. She's like, she won't be able to help that creepy little bastard. Oh my God. Oh God. And she's like, you mean your son? I was like, oh, Donald is really getting into his queen attitude. Like, he's being real cut, being real shady, and just being real cunt with his shit. And it's crazy. And she's like, oh, that's cute. So tell me, Donald, how's your beard? And she was like, what makes you think that I'm gay? She's like, everything, honey. That part was hilarious. And he's like, so is there a problem with being gay? She was like, no, only if it's something you're not ashamed of. And then she tells him, I want Sam to lead my team. And he was like, I can make that happen. She's like, yes, I want him. Make it happen. And that damn Donald had that look on his face like, yeah, I know why you want him, you horny slut. Like, you could just see it in Donald's face. Donald was like, bitch, I know what you up to. And then we see afterwards, Dr. Meadows comes out with her rag wiping herself, and she asks where the bathroom is. And then all of a sudden she was like, all of a sudden both of them were like, oh, damn, what happened? And Victoria's like, he got to her. Like, he is so fucked up, just like his father. That damn Donald started chuckling to himself, and so was I. I'm like, really, bitch? Hunter's not the only reason why Jason is screwed up. You are just as responsible as Hunter is. It's just so cut how she can just throw everything onto Hunter like she is normal. Bitch, you're just as crazy and psychotic as your son. He gets that shit from you. And he gets it from Hunter. But that more creepy shit, he gets from your ass because look what the fuck you doing. You trying to get Sam on your details so you can continue to try to sexually assault his ass. Just like he sexually assaults people. Crazy bitch. Anyway, so we saw that go on. Then we see that Donald is literally waiting for Dr. Meadows to come out the bathroom. You know. And then all of a sudden we see that Donald has a conversation with Kyle. And you know, he's like, well, what's going on? She's like, I'm waiting for the doctor to come out the bathroom. She's like, oh, so she had a meeting with the spawn of the devil. And then here go Kyle with the bullshit. I want to go to your house. Something is off. You know, she went off the grid and I want to know who she's talking to and what she told about the president and all that. And Donald is letting him know, I will talk to her. And he's like, yeah. And you couldn't get the job done, you know. And he's like, he's like, no. I said I will talk to her. I will deal with it. Now get the hell out of here. Go away. So in the meantime, while that happened, we see Bobby and Max is on the way, you know, to look out for Lily, because they know Lily's in danger with Kyle's crazy ass, and that scene proved it. Kyle want to kill Lily. Because he wants Donald all to himself. But the thing about it, boo-boo, he don't love you, bitch. He don't love you. All right, so we saw that go down. Then we get this scene with Hunter and Ellie. He apologizes to Ellie because he really did kind of throw it like, well, the only reason why you got this job is because of tits and ass, pretty much. But he apologizes to her, and he's like, I've just been dealing with this craziness with Diane. And Ellie's like, I get it. That's why you hired me. I'm working on it. And he's like, seriously? It's all over social. And she's like, well, that's not real media. Bitch, in today's world, it's just as effective as television media. Media is media, bitch. So we can clearly see Ellie has a lot of growing to do. And she's like, well, and she says, besides, I think I owe it to you because I think you hiring me got you into all this mess. And he's like, it's okay. You're worth it. And don't let nobody tell you different. And she's like, well, you should get back. And he was like, will you join me? And she's like, no. He's like, will I see you tonight? She's like, well, how can I do that? She's like, work late. Yeah, okay. And she's like, I'll see. And that was the end of that. So then we see Dr. Meadows finally comes out of the bathroom. Donald's like, he's like, so what's going on? And she says, he needs a lot of work. But personally, she says, I think the whole family needs counseling. And he's like, well, that's not going to happen. She's like, look, he mentioned his sister being taken and he doesn't know where she is. That's a lot. And she says, I want to sit down with the president and the first lady. And he's like, I can arrange that. And we see that Jason's old creepy ass is literally lurking in the shadows and he hears everything that's going on. So then we get this scene with Richard and Sam. Richard is looking at his address book and looking at calendar dates and when they both were in Iraq. You know, he's trying to get information. And then pretty much he was like, have you talked to Priscilla? And then first Sam was like, nah, but he was like, yeah, I talked to her. And she's like, well, what's this thing going on between you and Frida? He was like, you know, I'm taking her out to dinner. Like, and then like, you know, Richard asks Sam, why is Priscilla mad at you? And he's like, oh no, we're fine. I know my wife. And Richard's like, don't be so sure. Because I thought I knew my wife too. And look what happened to me. And he pretty much lets her know, you better make sure that your wife is happy. And he's like, I will. And he's like, and we pretty much see that, you know, he's asking Richard what's going on with Nancy. He's not saying anything. He's trying to get intel on Sam. Sam's not saying nothing. So he's like, so you're not going to tell me either, huh? And he pretty much says, like, Sam tells Richard, I hope you know what you're doing. He's like, yeah, I do. And then he says, all right, man. He goes to dap him. Richard pretty much walked away, didn't dap him or nothing. I'm like, damn, Richard, that's how we doing now? Like, you now dissing your boy? I was like, yo, Richard is really being an asshole right now. Like, seriously. Then we see the end of the episode. Lily is in Donald's office taking pictures of documents and everything. And then all of a sudden, Cal shows up. He starts in with the bullshit. What are you doing in here? And she's like, you need to get the hell out of my house. And he's like, it's Donald's house. And she's like, he doesn't love you. He loves me. And he can't keep his hands off me. And I'm like, boo-boo, he likes to fuck you. He does not love you, bitch. Like, this bitch is so delusional that she don't even realize she being used. And she ain't nothing but Donald's puppy. And she pretty much like, you need to get the hell out of my house. You know what? I'm calling the guard. She tries to call the guard. She can't reach anybody. She tries to use her cell phone. He done cut the line off and cut off all connection. He was like, that's government shit, baby. So then he puts on his gloves and was like, I'm going to ask you again. Why? What are you doing in here? So like, yeah, he about to try to kill Lily. So I'm like, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen next week. Because she was kind of like, you know what, girl, you need to get the hell out of here. Ain't nobody got time for you and your shit. I was like, yeah, but this bitch is crazy, Lily. So I hope you got a plan to get this bitch in line. Or else your ass going to end up being strangled and shit. Because he that fucking crazy. He'll do that shit. So that's what I got, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. This episode was really good, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. So get down on those comments and let me know your thoughts. So until next time, everybody, take care.